here's what everybody's missing on this thing. Yes, there's no collusion. That's not the story, okay? Everybody who's followed this case has known this for 2 years that there's no collusion. The real problem here is Bob Mueller did a thorough investigation, tens of millions of dollars, stacked his team with Democrats, had people viciously trying to go after Donald Trump, and they could not vindicate one thing in the dossier, which we now know was nearly the entire basis for the FBI case. The really damaging thing here, again, it's not no collusion. Everybody knew that. It's that the FBI investigated the President of the United States' team based on a dossier that laid out a collusion scandal that we now know conclusively was absolute garbage.
And surveilled his campaign.
Surveilled his campaign, employed a human intelligence asset to spy on an opposing political campaign, and Bob Mueller could not vindicate one single collusion charge. How do we know that? Because he has never charged one single person with a conspiracy charge related to this Russian collusion scandal laid out in the dossier. That's the big story. I can't say this enough.
Can you talk about the political consequences of this? Because clearly the Department of Justice and the FBI were used as a political weapon for political purposes against a political campaign that they opposed. Catherine Herridge reported yesterday that the White House counsel under Obama may have been briefed on what was going on with the FISA applications, which apparently some people, the DOJ were saying, look, there may be a biased source here. We probably shouldn't move forward with this. But is this just an overall picture of what happens when the federal government is used as a political weapon for political reasons?
Great point. The Catherine Herridge piece, I think it's up at foxnews.com. It's a must read. So we have new texts now from Andy McCabe to Lisa Page. And in one of those texts specifically in October, before the election, McCabe is referencing a meeting at the White House, including the deputy director of the CIA, about this case. Think about how devastating this is now. They format and base their entire case on a dossier we now know is complete garbage, alleging a Russian collusion scandal with Carter Page that never happened. And now we know from these McCabe texts that the White House is intimately involved in this the entire time. They basically had a movie script, a fake movie script they followed on Donald Trump that was nonsense. It was a fiction tale that they used, as you accurately stated, Ed, to spy on, weaponize their intelligence assets.
So you're suggesting the fingerprints of the Obama White House may be on this, which may explain why John Brennan has been out there making all kinds of wild charges about treason.
And Comey.
And James Comey is what I want to get to, because look at what he did in June of 2017, and then we'll talk about it.
I woke up in the middle of the night on Monday night, because it didn't dawn on me originally, that there might be corroboration for our conversation. There might be a tape. And my judgment was I needed to get that out into the public square. And so I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. Didn't do it myself for a variety of reasons, but I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel.
Okay, so bottom line, James Comey was involved in that surveillance that you're talking about to connect all of this, the FISA warrants. He's the man in charge of the FBI. The FBI and the Justice Department have to go to that FISA court that Alan Dershowitz was talking about. They used the phony dossier to get the surveillance. So you have that. But what he's talking about there in the summer of 2017 is that he wrote these memos about his conversations with the president and used an outsider to leak them to force the appointment of a special counsel. What does that tell us?
Jim Comey, of all the reputational damage done yesterday to all John Brennan, the Barack Obama team, Jim Comey leaves this in complete tatters. His reputation is finished. Why? Think about this now. Let's put multiple prongs for Comey. He's the FBI director when they initiate an investigation based on a false dossier. He signs off on one of the FISA warrants to spy on an opposing presidential campaign. He then gets fired, leaks information, a completely dishonest technique to get a special counsel appointed that finds what? Nothing based on the charges he investigated the president on. Now, Ed, there's an important point. Here's the key takeaway. Comey has very sincere, devastating liability here. Why? Because the FBI has a procedure. It's called the Woods procedure. People have to sign off that the information you raise your right hand and swear to in the courts. Remember the Woods file. This is going to come up. People have to sign off that the information is true. There are people's names that signed on this thing, including, by the way, John Carlin, who was the Department of Justice National Security Director, who was one of the final guys who signed off on it. He was conveniently...
Explain that. You're saying that FBI and justice officials have to swear that what they're presenting to the FISA court is true and accurate?
Dossier components that were in the FISA that someone at the FBI, an affiant, swore to were true, has a Woods file attached to it where people have to sign off that they have verified it. People that signed off on this all have extreme liability. They signed basically a fake file.
So will they be held accountable?
Yes, this is where they're all in trouble. And Carlin, who was one of the last guys in that, was conveniently Bob Mueller's old chief of staff. I'll tell you, and wait for the next shoe to drop too. And this is where this is going to get ugly now.
Yeah.
Now that Mueller's finished with this investigation, mark my words on the show, watch for the Ukraine thing to drop next. That's the real collusion scandal.
Former Maryland Congressman John Delaney is also running for the Democratic nomination. He joins us now. Congressman, your thoughts about what your fellow Democrats are saying in terms of the Mueller report, saying it should be released in full, and that they possibly want to have Bill Barr, the Attorney General, testify under oath about the findings.
Well, I think the report should be released as well. Listen, I'm happy that the Mueller report is finally released. I think that's a good day for everyone because this has been so preoccupying for everyone. I think we should be commending Robert Mueller for doing his job and getting it done, and Rob Rosenstein for obviously allowing him to do the work. And I think it should be released. I mean, the American people paid for it. There's been so much controversy over this, and I think it's in everyone's interest to have it released. And I think Attorney General Barr has made it clear, in his letter at least, that he wants to release everything he can. Obviously, there might be some things in the report that are highly classified and could compromise an important source, so that can't be released. But I suspect Robert Mueller wrote this report so that it could be released, and I think the Attorney General is indicating he's going to do the right thing, which is to release the report.
And Congressman, you were honest a moment ago about saying, look, this has been a distraction, not just for the president, for the country. So then some real talk here for your party. You've got Jerry Nadler out there subpoenaing 81 different people in Trump world. You know, you and I both know that it's not over, and some people in your party are going to just keep investigating them no matter what. Do you think it's time for Democrats to move on?
Well, I think that's why it's so important to release the report. I mean, the truth is kind of the best, defense or offense for everyone, depending upon your perspective. So if we get the report out there, we'll know what's in it. Everyone will know what's in it. And then if the House continues to do investigations based on things that they discover in the report, they'll have a basis to do that. And if they actually start continuing to do those investigations and there was no basis in the report to do it, then people are going to ask them why they're doing it. So that's why I just think we come back, and we should stop speculating about what's in the report because we're hopefully going to know really soon what's in the report. And then we can kind of move on as a country one way or another, which I think is so important.
You laid out kind of what may happen, but I'm going to speculate for a second.
Okay.
Let's say the report, obviously there is no indictment. We know that at this point. But there's going to be some things in there people don't like or things about Trump world or that Democrats will want to seize on. Is your counsel, as someone who's running for president, who would be in charge of the country and the Democrat Party, would your counsel be to them to walk away from the precipice of more investigations, impeachment talk, or would your counsel be hey, if you see it, keep going?
My counsel would be, and again, God or the devil is in the details, right? So we actually, again, don't know. And I know you're giving me a hypothetical. Depending on what's in that report, if there is some things in there that are obviously damning to the president, remember, I don't think Robert Mueller believes he can indict a sitting president. So I never thought there was any chance that he was going to try to indict the president because no matter what he found, I don't think he believed he could do that, and he would leave it up to the impeachment process in the Congress. But look, so your hypothetical is if there's something in there that's damning to the president, I absolutely believe the House should continue its oversight and investigatory responsibilities and pursue it. But if there's not, I don't think they should do it just for political reasons.
So, Congressman, you talked about getting to the truth. Democrats for 2 years have given all of their faith to Robert Mueller, saying they would accept what he found. Now you have the minority leader in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, hedging on that, saying that they may have to look into it further. Hans von Spakovsky was on earlier saying the reason for some redactions might be to take out allegations that were made that did not come to fruition, that Mueller could not then prosecute. So in your mind as a Democrat, what is the truth? What is transparency? And what means, of pursuit should the House take based on that information? Is redacting allegations that were false or didn't have any evidence count as going after the president on those issues?
I'm a big fan of Robert Mueller. I think he did his job. He's an American patriot. He served his country with great distinction. He had extraordinary resources available to him, right, through the special counsel office that he led. And he did, obviously, a very thorough investigation across 2 years. So we should release the report. We all paid for it. The taxpayers of the United States paid for it. It's been preoccupying our country for the last 2 years. Let's release the report. The only thing I would be in favor of not releasing is any classified information that compromises intelligence sources of the United States of America. Once the report is released, then we can all sit around and kind of cast judgment on it based on what's in it.
But wait, I want to follow up on that. Are you in favor of releasing allegations that were made throughout this investigation that the special counsel did not get enough evidence on to prosecute? Does that count as releasing the report? Or is that political?
I don't think that's political. I think, listen, everything, even the president, I believe, has said the report should be released, right? So I just think everyone benefits from the full release of the report. Again, I'm not in favor of releasing classified information, obviously, but I think everything else should get out there, and people should be able to, see what Mr. Mueller did, right, with each aspect of this investigation.
Exit question. You called Bob Mueller a patriot. Do you believe our president is a patriot?
Listen, I don't go around questioning people's patriotism. I do believe the president...
Well, you just went out and said that Bob Mueller's a patriot. Can you not then turn around and say that our sitting president is a patriot?
I believe the president does love his country, right, which is a definition of a patriot. I don't believe, however, that the president conducts himself in a way that makes him the leader that we need in this country. I think he's highly divisive. He pits American against American. I don't think he's honest with the American people. I don't think
he embodies the characteristics. But you can't say he's a patriot because that would be a bad campaign sound clip if you said Donald Trump is a patriot.
Listen, I define a patriot as someone who is serving their country and cares about their country. Right? That's how I define a patriot. The president's obviously serving his country, and I have no doubt that, I have no reason to believe he doesn't care deeply about our country. Okay. Right? So that's my definition of a patriot.
Congressman John Delaney, we appreciate you as a Democrat running for the presidency, coming in and taking these questions. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.